No, go home, you're drunk.
I'm not drunk.
Go
What? This video is going to be particularly about muscular injuries and not joint injuries. This is just the protocol that I've followed for myself and that I've seen relatively good success for, as far as returning from a relatively mild injury, getting back to full form. Keep in mind that gaining strength is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and that if you go back into it too fast, you could screw yourself over way worse than you already are right now. So, for instance, I did the squatting probably around, let's see, I guess I got originally hurt around 4 months ago. 2 weeks later, I took my time off, came back in, was feeling pretty good going in, but I took too big of jumps and I was sitting in the hole with 315 on a 10-second breathing pause squat. Came up around 3 inches, felt everything snap in my adductor. So basically, if you're ever questioning anything, take a longer break than you need to, because you're not going to get that much weaker, and you'll be surprised how fast you can recover from atrophy. Normally strength returns to you fairly quickly as long as you start applying stimulus again. Alright, next is my first golden rule as far as coming back from injury, and that is take at least 2 weeks off anything that uses the muscle that you hurt. So let's say, I'll use my back as an example, where my tricep inserts to my scapula. I felt something happen to that a couple weeks ago when I was trying to pull 605. I got it to around my knees and I felt a pain in my tricep, immediately dropped it. I had to stop doing any sort of pulling motion, and squats didn't put much strain on it. Bench felt a little bit weird, wasn't sure how that would go at first, but I figured out that it only was hurting as I pulled. So based on that, I didn't do any sort of heavy conventional deadlifting. Basically, after you take your 2 weeks off, you want to look to build your volume up as much as you can. So just basically think positively, because you're not going to be able to build up the strength that you want to. So I'm still rehabbing my squat now. I heard it around 4 months ago, and I started off with 30% of my squat, and I like to do that for sets of 20. I squat 4 days a week, I keep that weight and work up to 2 top sets of 20. And then each week I'm adding 5 pounds, just slowly progressing to make sure everything I want to get the range of motion back to normal, and I don't want anything to happen. With deadlifts, the injury was a little bit less serious, and that happened probably around 3-4 weeks ago now. So what I did, I didn't like the sets of 20 for that, so I started with AMRAPs. So I started with around 50% of my max, which you guys probably saw on my Instagram. And I did that for 30. Next week, I did 4 or 5, did that for 16, and then I went back to my regular volume training block, which had me doing 420 for sets of 10. Basically, you're looking to build up your volume and take it as slow as you can until you're sure that your muscle that you hurt is going to be 100% better for you to be able to pull at top intensity. You only have so many heavy pulls that you can do, so might as well build up your volume and just build up your base instead of just trying to peak all the time. Alright, if you guys are doing AMRAPs like I did for deadlifts though, don't do it until you just can't get another rep in. Do it until you start to break form, because you're just going to get re-injured again, and what's the point? And eventually, once you do sets of 10 or anything like that, you'll eventually work down to 8s once that feels comfortable, obviously increasing the weight as you go, or increasing the number of sets, 5s, 3s, 2s, and then eventually, if you're running the conjugate like I was, you can eventually do triples, doubles, and singles like you normally would. You just really don't want to rush anything. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and longevity is the most important thing. This is something that you can be doing into I met somebody in my last competition who was powerlifting into his mid-70s, so you want to be doing this for the long haul, so don't screw yourself over.